The topic we'll cover is Agile Procurement and Contracts, and this is all about how Agile organizations approach vendor relationships and contract design in ways that support flexibility, collaboration, and incremental delivery. In traditional procurement, contracts often lock in scope, price, and delivery dates before work even starts. That's a problem in Agile because we learn and adapt as the project unfolds. The PMP exam will test your ability to recognize how Agile-friendly contracts create room for change while still managing risk and accountability. In Agile procurement, contracts are designed to align vendors with the delivery of value, not just the completion of tasks. Instead of rigid, one-time handoffs, we want partnership over control. That means vendors and internal teams work toward shared outcomes, iterating together and incorporating feedback along the way. You'll want to understand contract models that work well in Agile environments, such as time and materials (T&M) with performance incentives, which pay for effort and reward early value delivery or quality. Fixed price with Agile milestones, where payment is tied to achieving value-based outcomes, not a single final deliverable. Incremental delivery agreements, where the vendor delivers in small batches allowing for inspection, adaptation, and scope adjustments. Procurement in Agile also means planning with adaptability. Teams might onboard vendors mid-project, change vendors as needs evolve, or adjust the scope of work based on priorities uncovered during delivery. On the exam, expect questions about collaborating with vendors as true members of the Agile process rather than as outsiders. That includes involving them in planning sessions, reviews, and even retrospectives so they understand the product vision and can adapt quickly. You should also be comfortable with concepts like contract language that supports change, techniques for resolving vendor misalignment, and negotiation strategies that balance flexibility with shared risk. Finally, Agile procurement isn't about losing control. It's about maintaining transparency and delivering value across organizational boundaries without sacrificing adaptability. Now, we'll go through 10 practice questions to test your understanding of Agile contract models, procurement strategy, vendor collaboration, and how to handle change through iterative agreements. Let's get into the first question in this topic. Question 101. A large financial services company is engaging a software vendor for a multi-release product delivered using Scrum. The business unit wants flexibility to adapt scope based on evolving regulations, while procurement leadership insists on clear accountability for budget and delivery. Which contract approach would best balance Agile values with procurement's need for control? A. Time and materials contract with no spending cap to allow full flexibility in changing scope. B. Fixed price contract with all features and deliverables agreed before development begins. C. Incremental delivery contracts with payments tied to completion of prioritized features. D. Cost plus incentive fee contract with bonuses based on productivity metrics and story points completed. You can pause the video here if you need more time to work on the question. The correct answer is C. This question tests your understanding of selecting contract types that support Agile principles while meeting traditional procurement concerns. Agile-friendly contracts should promote adaptability, transparency, and value delivery while still managing cost and performance expectations. Choice C is the best option because incremental delivery contracts tie payments to completed high-priority features, ensuring the vendor is rewarded for delivering value early and often. This structure also makes it easier to adapt to evolving requirements without renegotiating the entire contract. Choice A is incorrect. While it offers maximum flexibility, a time and materials contract without a spending cap exposes the buyer to cost overruns and lacks the accountability procurement is seeking. Choice B is incorrect. A fixed price contract with all deliverables defined up front removes the flexibility Agile needs and makes it harder to adapt to change without formal change requests. Choice D is incorrect. While cost plus incentive fee contracts can encourage performance, tying bonuses to metrics like story points can promote the wrong behaviors and do not directly ensure value delivery. Let's move on to the next question if you're ready. Question 102. A startup is partnering with a software vendor to launch a new mobile app. The startup wants to release usable features to market every few weeks to attract early adopters and investors, while keeping the option to pivot the product direction based on analytics. The vendor is open to this, but wants to ensure they are compensated regularly for completed work. Which contract approach would best meet the needs of both parties? A. Fixed price contract covering all planned features with partial payments released after every month of work to manage cash flow. B. Incremental delivery contract with payments tied to acceptance of each production-ready release. C. Time and materials contract with a not-to-exceed limit and progress demos at the end of each month. D. Retainer-based contract providing upfront payment for a block of sprints with scope adjustments allowed only at the end of the block. You can pause the video here if you need more time to work on the question. The correct answer is B. This question tests your understanding of how incremental delivery contracts align with Agile's focus on delivering value frequently while maintaining flexibility. These contracts link payment to completed, usable deliverables, giving both parties clear checkpoints to confirm progress and adjust scope as needed. Choice B is the best option because it ensures the vendor gets paid for each production-ready release while allowing the startup to pivot direction based on market feedback. This balances predictable vendor compensation with agile adaptability. Choice A is incorrect. While monthly partial payments provide steady cash flow, a fixed-price contract locks in scope, making it expensive and time-consuming to adapt the product as priorities change. Choice C is incorrect. Time and materials with a not-to-exceed limit controls cost but still pays based on effort rather than results, which may reduce the vendor's focus on delivering usable features quickly. Choice D is incorrect. A retainer for a block of sprints gives the vendor upfront payment but delays scope adjustments until the end of the block, limiting the ability to respond quickly to market feedback. Let's move on to the next question if you're ready. Question 103. During a complex Agile program, your organization is working with an external vendor to build critical components that must integrate seamlessly with the in-house team's work. The vendor delivers on time but often misses subtle requirements, leading to costly rework. The vendor insists that all communication go through their account manager, which slows issue resolution. What should the project manager encourage to improve collaboration and reduce integration issues? A. Require the vendor to submit detailed user story acceptance documentation before every sprint review to confirm understanding of requirements. B. Integrate vendor representatives directly into relevant Agile ceremonies to enable real-time communication and feedback. C. Hold a dedicated requirement alignment meeting with the vendor at the start of each sprint to reduce misinterpretation risks. D. Assign a dedicated internal liaison to consolidate all vendor communication into a single weekly update. You can pause the video here if you need more time to work on the question. The correct answer is B. This question tests your understanding of vendor collaboration in Agile environments. Agile emphasizes direct communication, transparency, and frequent feedback to ensure shared understanding and reduce waste. Choice B is the best option because integrating vendor representatives into Agile ceremonies, such as sprint planning, daily stand-ups, and sprint reviews, provides direct access to the team, speeds up clarification, and helps catch misunderstandings early, reducing costly rework. Choice A is incorrect. While detailed acceptance documentation can clarify expectations, it relies on written communication alone, which is slower and more prone to misinterpretation than real-time dialogue. Choice C is incorrect. A requirement alignment meeting at the start of each sprint can help, but limiting collaboration to a single touchpoint misses the benefits of ongoing, iterative communication throughout the sprint. Choice D is incorrect. Assigning a single liaison consolidates communication but also adds a bottleneck, delaying the flow of information and reducing opportunities for direct interaction. Let's move on to the next question if you're ready. Question 104. Midway through an Agile project, a key vendor proposes a change that could improve performance but will delay delivery by 2 sprints. The client is open to it but wants to confirm the impact before deciding. What should the project manager do next? A. Agree with the vendor to proceed with the change immediately and inform stakeholders during the next sprint review. B. Work with the vendor and team to assess the change's impact on scope, schedule, and value before seeking client approval. C. Ask the vendor to submit the change through the formal contract change control process to ensure documentation and compliance. D. Defer the change to a future release to protect the current delivery commitments and avoid disrupting velocity. You can pause the video here if you need more time to work on the question. The correct answer is B. This question tests your understanding of managing change with third parties in Agile projects. Agile promotes collaboration, transparency, and informed decision-making, especially when external vendors are involved. Choice B is the best option because it ensures that the vendor, team, and stakeholders have a clear understanding of the change's impact before committing. This collaborative evaluation aligns with Agile's emphasis on adapting while still delivering value. Choice A is incorrect. While collaborating with the vendor shows partnership, proceeding before fully assessing the impact risks scope creep, missed deadlines, and reduced trust with the client. Choice C is incorrect. Following the formal contract change process ensures documentation but may slow decision-making and discourage collaborative exploration of the change's benefits. Choice D is incorrect. Deferring the change protects short-term commitments but misses the opportunity to incorporate potentially high-value improvements when they are most beneficial. Let's move on to the next question if you're ready. Question 105. Your organization is engaging a vendor under a time and materials contract to develop an Agile solution. Leadership is concerned about cost overruns and wants to motivate the vendor to deliver high-priority features quickly without sacrificing quality. Which contract approach would best address this concern? A. Add a penalty clause for any sprint that does not meet the planned velocity. B. Negotiate a blended rate with a cap on total hours while offering bonuses for meeting quality and delivery targets. C. Include performance-based incentives tied to the timely delivery of accepted high-value features. D. Switch to a fixed-price contract with phased deliverables to allow some flexibility in scope adjustments. You can pause the video here if you need more time to work on the question. The correct answer is C. This question tests your understanding of time and materials contracts with performance incentives in Agile. While T&M contracts provide flexibility, they can lead to cost concerns unless paired with mechanisms that encourage efficiency and quality. Choice C is the best option because tying incentives to the timely delivery of accepted high-value features motivates the vendor to prioritize work that delivers measurable business value without sacrificing quality. This aligns payment with outcomes rather than effort. Choice A is incorrect. Penalty clauses based solely on velocity may drive the vendor to focus on output over value, potentially lowering quality and encouraging metric manipulation. Choice B is incorrect. A blended rate with capped hours controls costs but still bases payment on time, not value, which may reduce urgency in delivering the most important features. Choice D is incorrect. A fixed-price contract with phased deliverables can create checkpoints but still limits adaptability to changing priorities and can lead to contentious change negotiations. Let's move on to the next question if you're ready. Question 106. A manufacturing company awards a vendor a fixed-price contract to deliver a scheduling system. To satisfy executives, progress must be visible at regular intervals, but the product owner wants the flexibility to reprioritize features after each release. The vendor is open to Agile delivery, but wants clear payment terms. Which contract structure best meets these needs? A. Fixed-price contract with milestone payments based on agreed calendar dates to ensure predictable cash flow for the vendor. B. Fixed-price contract for the full scope with all changes managed through formal contract amendments to maintain cost certainty. C. Fixed-price contract that pays equal monthly installments with scope adjustments permitted only at the mid-project review. D. Fixed-price contract with payments tied to the delivery and acceptance of prioritized feature sets at predefined release points. You can pause the video here if you need more time to work on the question. The correct answer is D. This question tests your understanding of fixed-price contracts with Agile milestones. The challenge in these scenarios is to balance predictable payment schedules with Agile's ability to adjust priorities between releases. Choice D is the best option because linking payments to accepted prioritized feature sets delivered at agreed release points ensures that value is delivered incrementally while still giving the vendor predictable payment triggers. This supports flexibility for the product owner and transparency for executives. Choice A is incorrect. While calendar-based milestone payments offer predictable cash flow, they don't guarantee that working, valuable features are delivered at each payment point. Choice B is incorrect. Managing all changes through formal contract amendments provides cost certainty but limits agile adaptability, making it harder to reprioritize after each release. Choice C is incorrect. Equal monthly installments offer consistent payment but restrict scope changes to a single mid-project review, reducing responsiveness to evolving needs. Let's move on to the next question if you're ready. Question 107. A product owner wants to bring in a specialized vendor during the second quarter of an Agile project. The team wants to ensure the contract supports iterative delivery and avoids delays when the vendor joins. What should the project manager do during procurement planning? A. Set vendor scope and contract terms early to support incremental delivery and integration. B. Include only high-level contract terms and negotiate details after the vendor is onboarded. C. Negotiate a fixed-price contract to ensure the vendor stays within budget regardless of changes. D. Identify the vendor's backlog items early and align contract milestones with planned releases. You can pause the video here if you need more time to work on the question. The correct answer is A. This question tests your understanding of procurement planning in Agile. The goal is to prepare contract terms that support the iterative nature of Agile while ensuring a smooth start when the vendor joins. Choice A is the best option because establishing the vendor's scope and contract terms early while keeping them flexible for incremental delivery ensures the vendor can integrate quickly into the Agile cadence without delays or contractual gaps. Choice B is incorrect. High-level terms can leave too many details unresolved, creating onboarding delays and possible misalignment with Agile delivery needs. Choice C is incorrect. A fixed-price contract may control costs, but often restricts flexibility, making it harder to adapt scope based on feedback. Choice D is incorrect. Aligning backlog items and milestones with releases helps planning, but doesn't address the importance of setting the right contract terms before the vendor joins. Let's move on to the next question if you're ready. Question 108. During contract negotiations with a new vendor, the project manager wants to ensure the agreement supports iterative delivery and the ability to adjust priorities between releases. Which contract term would best achieve this? A. Payment tied to a final system acceptance, with partial reviews allowed during development to track progress. B. Milestone payments triggered by completion of predefined feature sets after each iteration. C. A fixed delivery schedule with performance bonuses for meeting agreed feature completion dates. D. Scope defined at contract signing to control risk, with flexibility to swap features of equal size between releases. You can pause the video here if you need more time to work on the question. The correct answer is B. This question tests your understanding of contract negotiation for iterative delivery. Agile contracts should encourage incremental delivery of value while preserving the ability to adjust priorities as the project evolves. Choice B is the best option because tying milestone payments to completed feature sets after each iteration provides tangible checkpoints, supports frequent value delivery, and allows scope reprioritization between iterations. Choice A is incorrect. Although partial reviews give visibility, tying payment to a single final acceptance discourages early delivery of usable features and delays meaningful feedback. Choice C is incorrect. A fixed schedule with performance bonuses incentivizes hitting dates, but it limits flexibility and may push teams to prioritize speed over value. Choice D is incorrect. Allowing feature swaps appears flexible, but locking scope up front still constrains adaptability and prevents full reprioritization as new insights emerge. Let's move on to the next question if you're ready. Question 109. Midway through an Agile project, a vendor insists on delivering work in large batches every 2 months, even though the team's cadence is 2-week sprints. This misalignment is causing delays in integration and testing. What should the project manager do to address this issue? A. Adjust the team's sprint length to match the vendor's delivery schedule. B. Negotiate with the vendor to break work into smaller testable increments that align with the sprint cadence. C. Work with the vendor to keep their current delivery cycle but negotiate earlier partial handoffs for critical components. D. Increase buffer time in the schedule to handle large batch deliveries without impacting releases. You can pause the video here if you need more time to work on the question. The correct answer is B. This question tests your understanding of handling vendor misalignment in Agile. Agile works best when deliverables are produced in small, testable increments that align with the team's cadence, enabling faster feedback and integration. Choice B is the best option because breaking vendor work into smaller increments aligns deliveries with the team's sprint rhythm, reducing integration delays and improving collaboration. Choice A is incorrect. Changing the team's sprint length to match the vendor's slower pace would undermine Agile responsiveness and delay feedback loops. Choice C is incorrect. Negotiating partial handoffs is better than accepting full large batch deliveries, but still doesn't fully resolve the integration and feedback timing mismatch. Choice D is incorrect. Adding buffer time avoids short-term schedule pressure, but fails to address the root cause of misalignment. Let's move on to the next question if you're ready. Question 110. While drafting a contract for an Agile project, the client's legal team insists on detailed scope descriptions to avoid disputes. The project manager wants to preserve flexibility to adapt priorities as the work progresses. Which contract clause would best support this flexibility? A. Scope changes require a formal amendment process to ensure all parties are aligned and risks are documented. B. Payments are tied to completion of the agreed scope, with minor scope swaps allowed if they don't change total effort. C. Scope is defined at a high level, with specific features to be detailed and prioritized in the product backlog during the project. D. Any scope change can be approved by the product owner if budget neutral, but must be documented and signed off before work begins. You can pause the video here if you need more time to work on the question. The correct answer is C. This question tests your understanding of contract language to support flexibility in Agile projects. The goal is to allow for changes in priorities without creating heavy administrative or contractual barriers. Choice C is the best option because defining scope at a high level and detailing features in the backlog during the project allows teams to adapt priorities based on feedback and evolving needs, while still providing enough contractual structure for alignment. Choice A is incorrect. While a formal amendment process ensures alignment and documentation, it slows responsiveness and undermines Agile's ability to adapt quickly. Choice B is incorrect. Allowing minor swaps provides some flexibility, but tying payments to the completion of a predefined scope still limits the ability to reprioritize based on changing business value. Choice D is incorrect. Allowing budget-neutral changes through product owner approval sounds Agile-friendly, but the required pre-work documentation and sign-off can create delays and reduce adaptability. This wraps up 10 questions for Agile Procurement and Contracts. That's 110 questions completed in our 150 question series. You're building a strong foundation for your PMP exam success. If you found these questions helpful, make sure to like the video and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next topic when you're ready.